Happy Friday, and thanks for joining us today for THV 11 News at noon. I'm Mackailyn Johnson. Now at noon, our Frederick Price is in Hot Springs covering the aftermath of a fight and shooting that left multiple people injured, the very latest in 2 minutes. And testing for COVID-19 at home is evolving, and researchers are now using other means of tracking developments in the pandemic. We'll explain how just ahead. Plus, tomorrow, Arkansas mail carriers need your help to stamp out hunger in Arkansas. We have all the information you need. But first, we're joined with meteorologist Nathan Scott on a Friday and a hot one. Nathan, is this going to continue into our weekend?
It's just a broken record, Mackailyn. I mean, temperatures once again we're up to 91 already at Little Rock with lots of sunshine. Everybody else warming up into the upper 80s, but you see some clouds along the Mississippi River, also out into Oklahoma, and there are some showers and storms trying to bubble up right around Jonesboro, but especially in the Mississippi. There's a boundary, and that boundary is making its way from east to west, so there will be potential. Some will see some cooling showers and storms, primarily for East Arkansas and also Northwest Arkansas. But with the heat and humidity, it already feels like 94 in Little Rock. It feels like 90 in Hot Springs, feels like 93 in Stuttgart. So the best chance that cooling shower storm, and it could be strong, right along the Mississippi River. Most of us here in Central Arkansas, we're looking at about a 20% or less of a pop-up shower or storm. Here's your planner today. Highs topping out into the low, probably mid-90s for some folks. I'll let you know if there's any cooler weather in my extended forecast coming up.
Of developing news from overnight out of Hot Springs, several people are in the hospital following a shooting moments after graduates walked the stage for the Hot Springs High School graduation. Our Frederick Price is live there with the latest. Frederick, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Mackailyn, you know, graduation is really a time for people to come and see their family and friends walk across the stage and congratulate them. But last night, the unthinkable happened. This is the parking lot where police tell us multiple people were shot after a graduation ceremony, and we're told that those shots were fired after a large fight broke out. Now, one witness I talked with today describes she heard gunshots outside and ran to get her sister and other family to get to a safe place. There are several people hurt at this hour. They were taken to a nearby hospital. We do not know the condition on any of them. We're working to confirm how many people exactly were hurt and if police have any idea of who is responsible for this. Now, officials tell me they are expecting to release more information sometime today, and we are still hunting for more information. So, of course, we'll have the latest on our website, thv11.com, as well as tonight at 5 and 6 o'clock. For now, we're live in Hot Springs. Frederick Price, THV 11 News.
All right, thank you, Frederick. Happening today, Republican Senate candidate Jake Beckett will be in a Little Rock courtroom for the first hearing into this ballot mistake. Take a look at this picture tweeted out by Beckett. He's suing Craighead and Phillips counties for printing official ballots that list him as Jack instead of Jake. He's asking a judge to order a correction and investigation into the mistake. Beckett is challenging two-term Senator John Boozman for the Republican nomination. The lawsuit also names the Secretary of State and the State Board of Elections. Now to a THV 11 update. Today, investigators are trying to figure out how a missing man from North Dakota ended up dead in Arkansas. We first told you the breaking news yesterday after Jordan Simeon's body was found in Newton Creek. That's close to the White Oak Crossing exit off I-40, where police found his abandoned car in March. Simeon's family hadn't heard from him after his car broke down on the drive from North Dakota to New Orleans. An official with the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office tells us they're performing an autopsy to determine how he died. Meanwhile, a man is awaiting his first court appearance after police arrested him for murder. Terry Beckton was wanted for capital murder in the death of Cedric Milner. Police found him dead on April 30th on West 26th Street. Beckton was booked into the Pulaski County Jail last night. And new this afternoon, we learned attorneys for Josh Duggar are requesting a 5-year sentence in the child porn case. The prosecution is calling for 20 years. Court records show Duggar's defense team argue he has no prior offenses and is a hard-working man whose reputation, career, and family have all suffered. A jury found the former reality TV star guilty last year of downloading explicit images of children. He's set to be sentenced on May 25th. A manhunt is underway in Texas for an escaped prisoner who attacked a guard and fled from a prison bus. Nancy Chen has the story from New York.
Texas authorities say 46-year-old Gonzalo Lopez overpowered a prison bus driver and stabbed him. The struggle forced the bus to crash before the prisoner took off, running across a pasture in a rural area about 2 hours north of Houston. Lopez was serving a life sentence for murdering a man with a pickaxe. Authorities say he was being transported along with 15 other inmates Thursday when he managed to slip out of his shackles. Guards fired at him but are not sure if he was hit. The bus was headed to Huntsville, Texas, where Lopez had a medical appointment. None of the other prisoners left the bus. Schools in the area are closed today while the manhunt continues for the escaped killer. Nancy Chen, CBS News.
Authorities say the driver was not hurt seriously. There was one other guard on the bus at the time of the escape. And in California, crews are still struggling to contain a dangerous wildfire. It has burned at least 200 acres and destroyed at least 20 homes in an affluent area south of Los Angeles. Investigators are looking into electrical circuit activity in the area as a possible cause. Authorities warn that these kinds of fires will be more common, citing prolonged drought and climate change. Firefighters there are continuing their fight with hot spots and with hotter and drier conditions. They will continue to likely have to contend with high winds going into the weekend. On Capitol Hill, the House Select Committee investigating the deadly attack on the U.S. Capitol has now subpoenaed House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and 4 other Republican lawmakers. Scott McFarland has more from Washington.
A crime and attack unlike any in American history has led to a congressional investigation unlike any other. Now, after nearly 1,000 interviews, the January 6th Select Committee has its sights on 5 Republican congressmen, each of whom has refused to appear voluntarily, including the GOP leader in the House, Kevin McCarthy. The committee knows McCarthy spoke with then-President Trump before, during, and after the attack, something he talked about during an interview with CBS News on January 6th.
I've spoken to the president. I asked him to talk to the nation to tell him to stop this.
McCarthy says the current investigation is not legitimate, and the committee acknowledges these subpoenas mark an unprecedented moment.
An attempted coup and a violent insurrection at the Capitol interrupting the peaceful transfer of power are unprecedented events.
As for the other members called, Alabama's Mo Brooks gave a fiery speech before Trump at the White House ellipse January 6th.
Today is the day American patriots start taking down names and kicking ass.
The committee says Ohio's Jim Jordan talked to Trump on the 6th and texted White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows earlier about blocking the electoral count, and that Congressman Andy Biggs and Scott Perry were both involved in discussions related to efforts to overturn the 2020 election.
This is all about distracting America from their abysmal record of running America into the ground.
The 5 congressmen have criticized this subpoena and called the committee polarized, with 7 Democrats and 2 Republicans. The committee hasn't indicated what happens if these congressmen defy the subpoena, whether they'll be referred for contempt of Congress prosecution. But the committee has its first hearing set for June 9th, with a final report likely weeks later. Scott McFarland, CBS News, the Capitol.